Now, in order for us to complete the method create database, we need to create some SQL queries that will enable us to create a table, because the database cannot exist without having at least one table. So we will need to make use of the structured query language of the DB database, and we have to write a specific query that will enable us to create a table that will contain our sales records. So let's go up and use a field to do that. So I'm going to create a field that's going to be a string and it's going to hold SQL statement. So I'm going to call this private final string, and it's a kind of constant. I'm going to call it create sales record table SQL, because it's going to contain a structured query language. So what's going to be in here is simply going to be the structured query language that will enable us to create a table for the sales records. If you don't know the structured query language SQL, you can go and look it up and study SQL. It's very simple and straightforward. You can complete it in one day. You're smart enough. So let's go ahead with that. So I'm gonna put create table app dot sales underscore records. This will be our table name, sales records, and our database name is app, because we're using the database schema app. Okay, so create table app dot sales record. I'm going to open up a bracket here, then I'm going to close the bracket, and I'm going to put a semicolon, so that within the brackets I can press enter and NetBeans automatically concatenates it down here for me to continue. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to create fields. So the first field I'm going to create is the serial number, and I wish for it to be an integer. That is not null. Okay, I know you're wondering why I'm putting the spaces. The spaces are completely unnecessary, but for the sake of readability, that's why I'm putting them. So this field is gonna be the primary key, this serial number field, and I want it to be generated always as identity. So I'm gonna put the SQL statement generated always as identity. And there's more parameters that I can add. If it's gonna be generated, where is it gonna be starting? So I'm gonna say should start with 1 and increment by 1. Okay, so that's the first field on our table in the database. Notice I put a comma at the end here before the last closing bracket. Then I'm gonna press enter to, I'm gonna put a space first before I press enter to move to the next line. So the next field is gonna be the invoice number. I'm gonna call it invoice underscore number. Notice that field names do not have spaces. So if your field name is gonna be invoice number, make sure you do not put invoice space number, because that's not gonna work. So this is gonna be a varchar, and a varchar is a variable character, in other words string, in Java can be stored in varchar fields of SQL. So it's gonna be a varchar, not null. I'm gonna put a comma, put a space, and head to the next line. The next field is gonna be the description, which is also gonna be a varchar in the data type. You can see the reason why I had to put those spaces so that I can differentiate which one is the field name, which one is the data type, and which one is the attributes to that field. Okay, so this is gonna be varchar, and the numbers I'm putting here in these brackets signify the length of characters that this field can take. In this particular field, I want the invoice number not to exceed 15 characters and the description not to exceed 150 characters. So I'm going to declare this field's attribute as not null as well. Put a comma, put a space, and head to the next line. The next field is going to be the price sold. So I'm going to call it price underscore sold. The data type is going to be a double, because this has to do with currency, and it's not also null. I'm going to put a comma, put a space, and press enter to the next line. The next field is going to be the customer name, customer underscore name, also a varchar. Customer name can be as long as 150 characters, and it's not null as well. So I'm not gonna put a comma because this is the last field I'm gonna use for this table. So I'm gonna put a space and press enter to go to the next line, and this is gonna be my SQL query: create sales record table SQL. So whenever I need the SQL statement for creating of this table, I simply need to call this constant. Alright, so let's continue with the create database method. So in order for us to create the table, we need a connection to the database, and from my experience trying to get a connection to the database may throw SQL exceptions. So let me just quickly start handling SQL exception. So I'm gonna try and catch SQL exception. Then I'm gonna declare XCP. Oops. Let me import SQL exception from java.sql.sql exception. Then I'm gonna use the exception to print the stack trace in case we have any exception, and we're gonna use the standard error output stream system.here. Okay. So what Java the compiler is flagging here is that exception SQL exception is never thrown, and don't worry, we'll write a code that will throw it. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to set this dot connect db connection. We call db connection the field we created up above here to hold a connection for us. So we're going to initialize that field by assigning it to driver manager dot get connection necessary JDBC rules, and we're not going to use the first argument. We're going to use the second one that will take the URL to the database and the properties to enable it to create the connection. Now the URL to the database is what we had here. If you recall the previous tutorial when we were creating the URL to the database, and the properties for the connection are the information that has been encoded in the properties file, which includes the username for opening up that connection and the password for opening up the connection. Okay, and this one contains the driver name, the driver URL, and the application schema. So we're going to need that in order to open up the connection to the database. Now when we open up a connection to the database, we can now use that connection to create a sales record table. So I would like to write a method that will enable us to create the sales record table, and I would like to do that in the next video tutorial. So I hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing.